If you want to be a mortgage broker and you're studying for your CeMAP exams, then this video is for you. We're going to talk all about CeMAP 1 and share some tips and tricks on how to pass. My name is Ash Borland, your mortgage business coach, and today I'm joined by Charlotte Hemingway from Future in Finance. She is a CeMAP coach who's helped hundreds qualify as mortgage advisors, so stick around because Charlotte's got some game-changing insights to share with us all. Charlotte, when preparing for Module 1, what would you say are the primary topics that you encourage students to focus on?
With CeMAP 1, you've got it split into two halves. So you've got the first 50 questions, the second 50 questions. They do not overlap. So you'll find the first 50 questions is based on chapters 1 to 16 of the textbook, and the second half is chapters 17 to 25. In the first half, you cannot pass this unit without being comfortable with guilts. Nobody likes talking about guilts because they're alien to anything else we've ever talked about or heard about in financial services. You go, what do you mean the government need to borrow money from people like us? Actually, it's not people like us that invest in gilts, but there are certain things you need to know if you want to get past the exam. It can be anywhere between 5 and 7 questions on gilts. So don't skip it because you don't get it. Gilts in Unit 1 is the big topic to focus on.
I'd never heard of a gilt until I did the exam, and I've never heard of a gilt since. but for a short amount of time, it was like when you said gilt, it was like listening to a song that brings you back to your teenage years. I just got reverted back to Connell's, sat in a stuffy room, in a Connell's back room of an estate agent's, trying to wrap my head around guilt. So the next question I want to ask you then is, are there any particular study approaches you would recommend specifically for tackling CeMAP 1?
The regulatory family tree is a big one because in CeMAP 1, the second half of CeMAP 1, we talk a lot about the Financial Conduct Authority, the Bank of England, the Prudential Regulation Authority. And if you've never worked in financial services before, you've got no idea who any of those guys are. You've probably heard of the Bank of England, but there's not just those. There's the Financial Ombudsman Service, the Pension Ombudsman. You need to understand how they all interconnect. If you don't understand how they all operate independently and then how they interconnect, you've almost lost sight of the entire second half of that part of your exam. So I definitely say make sure that you even draw the family tree.
What techniques do you use to help students break down the challenging areas? What specifically do you think people focus on to break down those family trees and harder things?
I've found it is all in the storytelling. The benefit of a masterclass is you have 7 of the students in there that all are there to share their experiences, and everybody ends up becoming dead friendly by the end of the week. But when you start talking about the Financial Ombudsman Service, I can guarantee that somebody has made a complaint with British Gas and can tell us about their experience with the Energy Ombudsman. When you get that question on the Financial Ombudsman, you think of Kirsty, who had to make many complaints about a British gas bill, and connect the dots. Everybody has a story to tell about a specific set. The masterclass is invaluable because you can paint the picture to find the right answer.
On top of that, what's some of the resources or study materials that you feel best support the modules in order to maximize that chance of being successful on CeMAP 1?
If all you have is the textbook and post-it notes, it can be done. If you're a visual learner, I've had people send pictures of the back of their toilet door covered from head to toe in post-it notes about key points from the exam. So that works well if you integrate it into everyday life. The cupboard door where you keep all your mugs above the kettle is another good place to do it. But beyond that, I do think that having support when you hit a stumbling block is key. With the e-learning packages I offer, I say to people, this isn't a robot. If you send me a question at 10:30 at night and I don't come back to you, it's because I'm asleep. Give me a chance. The value of having somebody on the other end of the phone that you can send a voice note to and be like, Charlotte, I have laid awake trying to understand what a unitized with profits endowment is. Can you help me out? And you can have me come back to you with a voice note and give you a breakdown. That level of support is what most people would benefit from.
It definitely does. And my follow-up question to you is, how do you ensure your students retain the key concepts from the modules? So what is it that you like to do?
I like to recap with them, almost do a quick fire session. So there's a couple of quick fire sessions available where I'm like, okay, if you feel ready to sit the exam, let's do some exam papers. And they find very quickly either they are super ready or they're not quite where they thought they were. That is a learning experience in itself because a lot of people lack confidence and they still don't feel ready. Is it that they're not ready or just really nervous? You can figure that out by getting them to do an exam style paper and seeing the result. If they pass, they're ready. But I'll always have people who are not sure if they're ready and they sit an exam paper and do well on Unit 1 and then it'll be a bit of a flop with Unit 2. When you sit your CeMAP exam, if you pass, you never have to look at your analysis sheet. But if you don't pass, you'll be provided with an analysis sheet and it's got objectives listed with certain things that do not correlate to the chapters in the textbook. So it can be a bit of a nightmare to figure out where exactly you went wrong. But if anybody ever has that, they can send me a picture of their analysis sheet and I can give them pointers as to what areas of the textbook or what areas of their studies they missed out on. Because it isn't linear to the chapters in the textbook, because this is what I do. I know if they missed out on objective number 3, it was all to do with collective investments, and that's the bit they don't understand. And then I can say, okay, you need to go back to chapter 8 of the textbook. That's where you missed the marks.
Check out this video on screen right now, which is a full breakdown of CeMAP explained by Charlotte. It's one you don't want to miss.